There we go. So Google Business Profile, it is free. And the reason we want to have it is it's the new yellow pages. So the first thing that anybody's going to do to consider you as a realtor is this right here. They're going to type in your name and see what comes up. And if you haven't set up your Google profile, you don't show up in this corner. And this is very valuable real estate because this pops up without you having to pay for any type of advertising. Now, you don't show up over here because Zillow, Realtor.com, all these other companies pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to be there. So that's something else entirely if that's your deal. But for any small business, especially a real estate agent, you want to have this, and you get this by simply one, claiming your Google Business Profile, and then two, filling it out properly, and then adding some things that, which I'll show you, is you add a series of products that are linked to your KV Core website. And the reason for that is not because I want you to use KV Core, but as we've talked about before, there are lead generation pages such as squeeze pages, landing pages, personalized market reports that are all available to you and your clients. So the premise of this is simply you are making shortcuts to your lead generators for your clients, because this audience for Google is completely opposite of what you're used to. Because if you look at Google versus Facebook, you're essentially crashing a party. So much like you wouldn't not crash a party and the first thing out of your mouth is, "Hi, I'm Eric Duncan. Are you ready to buy or sell real estate?" It takes time, and it's harder to grab people from Facebook and turn them into actual leads because it's a different proposition. With Google, they're warm. They're searching for you. They're searching for a realtor. They're searching for real estate. So the first thing you are going to say is, "Yeah, hi, I'm Eric Duncan. How can I help you buy or sell real estate?" And then you show your websites, your landing pages. If you're sending out first team wire, if you're using first and personal concierge, your market reports, your get an instant home value. These are all things that if you add to your Google page one time, they're just there to generate leads and prospects and inquiries for you. And I can attest, I've watched Kathy Haney's team receive inquiries straight from Google because she's had that set up for years. She runs a tight ship, and she's getting leads from it without even doing any updates. So I'm not going to go into sell this anymore, but of anything you want to do, this is something you want to cultivate and take the time to set it up properly, or pay someone to do it, because this is something that you can set and forget. If you add to it, ongoing, then yes, you can get some more out of it. But just by getting this set up and adding some products, which are links to your sites, this is going to help you tremendously. It may not happen in 2 or 3 months, but I guarantee you probably 12 months or a year from now, you will start to get inquiries from this. But the first thing you'll get are actually calls, because one of the first things you do is when you add your number to it, they click on it, it calls you. And if you've set this up previously, you'll receive an email usually on a weekly basis that'll tell you, "Hey, so many people have looked at your photos, so many people have called you," and such. So when you have your Google page, this section will pop up on the top hand left. If this does not show up, it means that you're not logged into Google. So if you go to, let's say, business.google.com, helps if you type it correctly. It should take you to something that looks like this. Now, if you're managing multiple profiles, it's going to show you a list. Then you click on see your profile. If you only have one profile, it'll take you directly to the page. And as you can see on the left, This is how you manage your Google page now. They've eliminated the app from the App Store and Google Play, and they've removed the interface where it was just really nice, but they've eliminated it. So in order for you to edit your profile, you're going to have to use their menu system here, which is pretty straightforward. It's just, I think it's a little clunky. So first and foremost, if you go to edit profile, you can go ahead and edit everything as before. It's just in different sections. So each section is labeled, and then you just click on the little pencil to make any changes, and then click save. And just FYI, if you do change your name, it does take some time. And in some cases, they may ask you to redo your verification, which is not a big deal if you're going to verify with a phone. But if it requires a postcard, that could put you out 5 to 10 days, which means your profile doesn't disappear, but it will no longer show up in the search queries until you're verified. But the system will always warn you of that, so you won't mistakenly do it and not be aware of it. Same thing with the description. You can come in here, edit that as you need to. On the phone number, if you change your phone number, it may require you to re-verify, but verification over text messages is pretty straightforward. But on occasion, the system will flag you and you will have to do a postcard verification, where Google will send you a postcard to the address of your business page, generally your office. And then you're going to have to go into this platform right here and put in a code. Once you do that code, then Google usually will verify the page within 24 hours.
I have a question about that, if I may. So I have this set up. I had a description in there. They said they were going to, I never got a postcard. And so they haven't ever approved it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah,
what an antiquated way to approve something. So how do we get it approved?
To get around that, there's a couple different methods that I could run past you. Maybe are you going to be in the office Thursday?
Yes.
If you have some time Thursday, I can sit down with you. Maybe we look at it together.
Okay, that'd be great.
Exactly how to get past it, because this is something that happens every now and then. I've experienced it. I've had agents in their offices deal with that as well. So there's 3 true tried ways, and unfortunately, they don't have a phone number to call, so you can't really shake any trees.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But there's a way. So don't.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Website, and then here, if you decide you want to change, you're changing offices, or maybe, and this is the case for some of my clients, they work in an area that's different from their home office. So with Google My Business, you can change your business location to an area or a service area, but you do lose a bit of visibility, and Google kind of you lose a little bit of clout with them because you're not a bona fide brick and mortar business. But it will still allow you to work in an area that maybe that we don't have a first team office. So I'll show you an example of that, and there's some tricks you can do with that to counteract the ability of not being able to have a brick and mortar office to build your Google page around. And then, as you can see here, service areas, you can put as many in there as you want. So if you work abroad, put cities. If you work small, then just do the little communities around where you're working. Business hours, you can set those. I don't. And then the rest of this, again, this is designed for a brick and mortar business, so there are things that we're not going to be applicable for us. So going back, you have messages. So Google does have messaging. So right here, if I click on it, I know I had my chat turned off because I wanted to show you what this looks like when you initially click on it. So if I turn this on, what will happen is someone can now initiate a chat from Google with me. which, yeah, you're thinking, great, and I have another platform to worry about. It's not a big deal because it's Google. You'll get a pop-up, and then also I believe you get an email notification. So you can continue to chat. It's not like it's time sensitive per se. Add photos. So before, we had that nice little place where you could drag your photos into the storefront and customers, and yeah, they've eliminated all of that. So this is where you're going to go in and add photos, and photos that you can add here are going to be your listing photos, your best listing photos. When you get top 10 in your office, pictures from the last award ceremony. All of these things are pictures that you want to add to your business profile, because again, think of this business profile. It's your resume. It's the first thing that a potential client is going to see. So you want to have all your best. You can also scan, scan pictures of some of your flyers of your token properties that you sold. Anything that doesn't have necessarily, maybe a price on it or anything like that, but think of it as your own little Pinterest resume, where these pictures tell a story of where you work, how you work, who you're working with. And this is where you would add those photos. And what's neat about it is you don't have to, there is no, because they've eliminated the buckets, it's all just a collage. So you don't have to think about this has to go there, this has to go. You can just pick great photos, upload them, and set it and forget it. You can also add videos, but the videos need to be short. I believe they need to be under a minute. But if you're doing reels or shorts, you could certainly upload those into your Google profile. And again, they're going to click on a photo, and then they just get taken through a collage of all your photos. So another great place where you can promote yourself and not be in their face, and do it without a whole lot of effort. Here's another section where I can go in and start to upload. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. Logo. If you are a team and you have a team logo, upload your logo here. The logo is what shows up on the side of your face whenever you do a post. If you're an agent, I would recommend that you use your headshot, because you want them to get familiar with your face. So when they receive your marketing and you go door knock them, they're familiar with you. The performance, these are the stats that I was talking about. This is so 236 interactions, and this is pretty minuscule. So no one's made calls from my business profile. 12 website clicks. So not a whole lot of activity, but everything is measurable. And then right here, you have something called call history, which if you click on, if it's off, it'll prompt you to turn it on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on now. So now what will happen is if anyone tries to call me through my page, it will have a log of it. So if I didn't get that number for some reason, now I have it and I can call them because it tracked it for me. Advertise. So this is the button. This is why Google lets you have a free profile. One, they want your data because they're Google, but two, they want to sell you Google ads. So you can certainly set up ads. They actually will, I think, give you a $500 credit. But let me tell you this with a warning from experience and experience from other agents is, unless you've done a lot of studying and you understand how the algorithms work and how to get around the nuances of real estate in the advertising space, it's going to be a frustrating experience. So I would suggest, if you are interested in doing Google Ads, go with something like what am I thinking of? Like Property Boost. Because here's the reason why, and it's not because I'm selling on our affiliates. It's when you're a top tier marketer, you're charged a lot less money for your advertising, and you get access to algorithms and platforms that the other guys don't, because you built rapport and you have history in the system. So that's why someone that works for a large conglomerate like KV Core and their affiliates can, they're spending millions of dollars a month. So they're more efficient and it does a better job. And plus they give you all the analytics. So if you want to play with it, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time unless you've done a lot of research, because I'm even reticent to do my own Google ads and I've studied it for 4 or 5 years. And I'm finding I have better luck using it through some of the larger sources like Property Boost and the other ad options through Luxury Portfolio and leading companies of the world. Products. So this is a unique thing that people have been doing for a while, but we're realtors, so our products are real estate. So whenever you have a listing, this is a great place to showcase it. And again, you can set it and forget it, because if you use the link from your website, it will automatically change over to a landing page after that property is sold and no longer the MLS. So it still works. So let me show you an example of this. This was sold last year. Sorry, didn't mean to edit it. Let's go down here. So products, this is where we were. So if I click on this, this is what the end user sees. I see a picture of the house, the price. I click on learn more. This learn more button takes me to the listing for that property, which is sold. So when that happens, instead of the property website coming up, this pops up. And when they go in and answer this, this becomes a KV or lead that you get into your system, which you'll get a text message and or an email. How do you do that? I can show you. So to do that, you want to bring up your website. You don't have to log in to KV Core or any of that. So first and foremost, the easiest one is if I click on sell. This is what's my home worth page. So I come up here, I grab this link. I'm going to copy that. But before I do that, I need to make a screenshot, because with Google, there's an extra step to doing a post from, let's say, in comparison to Facebook. With Facebook, I can copy this link and go paste and it'll come up and I'm done. With Google, unfortunately, it requires you to provide a photograph, which if you're going to be doing a product, I suggest you use screenshots of what your products are going to be. So for instance, I'm going to make a product of what's my home worth. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to make a screenshot of this web page right now. And that's going to be the image that I'm going to use for my product. And the reason I'm doing that is for 2 reasons. Psychologically, if you're clicking on something and the picture looks like where you're going, you trust it. You don't think you're being, taken to some weird website. The other reason is Google also sees that and they give you a bump in your SEO because they believe that you're sending the people to a legitimate place. So going back to Google Business Profile, I think I lost my guy here. Here we go. So going back to the original place where we were, where we have all of our editing guys. So I'm going to go back to edit products. I'm going to click add a product. And I'm going to type in, so let's do something even better. Let's use the verbiage of this page as my product description. And then also as my product name. And then I only have so many spaces, so I'm going to truncate that. I have a category called real estate. If you don't have a category, it'll ask you to make one, and you can call it real estate or whatever you want. It's just a label that shows up underneath each product. There's going to be no price for this because it's not a home. And then I'm going to come down here, just where it says add a button, and I'm going to click on learn more. Then my last step is I'm going to click on select a photo. Take my image or my screenshot that I made. I'm going to click on crop. And then I'm going to hit select. And I'm going to hit publish. I didn't do a link. See, it will keep you from going too fast. So if you remember, our link is at our website and it's up here. And it always follows this context. It's going to be first name, last name, .firstname.com/seller. Or you can use /sell. On this one, it's seller/valuation. So two things. If your page looks different from this, don't worry about it. You're just maybe on the last batch of updates. They're upgrading the AVM system. So the back end is all the same, but the interface on the front of the page may look different. So don't worry about that. If yours is that way, you can email support and ask them, but it's probably you're just in the last batch of upgrades. So going back to where we were, I'm going to take that link that we took from the solar valuation, and now I'm going to click publish. And then click here, see my products. Now it may say pending right here. It could take 24 hours for them to approve it. And all that means is it just doesn't show up to the public eye.
I called you yesterday, but evidently it was slightly before 10 and our little princess hadn't woken up yet. Well, I want to wish you a happy congratulations.
Sam, you're not muted.
Hey, Sam.
You're in escrow. And
Hey.
Sam, hit
I
mute.
got him. He's on mute. Good times. See, it's like being in the office even without being in the office.
Yeah.
All right. So any questions about that? I know I didn't break any new ground there, but does anyone have questions about that process? Because it's pretty much the same across the board. That's the process. And if the main chunks of your page that you want to use are obviously that. If you are, this is not the site to do this on, listings. So if you have a long history of sales, if you go to, let's do different page. Yeah, let's go here. Here we go. So if you go to your agent, our listings, go to sold. This is another page where you want to consider taking a screenshot and using this link because you can show your sold inventory. Like for instance, on Sam, recently sold properties, and you click learn more. And now they can go through and look at the listings that you've sold in the past. So earlier I mentioned what do you do when you work in a different area that there might not be a first team office? Well, you could be set up kind of the way that Karen is, where she doesn't have a physical address because we don't have a Palm Desert office per se. But she still is, you know, Palm Desert agent. She has her listings. She's got all of her pages here. She has reviews. And then down here, this is why I talk about using products versus doing a post, because if you do a Google post, it's at the bottom of the page here. And people read from top down. So it's good to post and add updates, but this is where you're going to want to put anything that is going to be linking to some sort of lead generating process, whether it's a squeeze page, a landing page, or maybe it's a form. But you want to do all of that under products. Same thing if you have listings, whether they're for sale or for lease, add them as a product, because they'll show up here in this section and they'll all be grouped together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say. Asks for reviews. If your page is verified and 100% functional, you should have this ask for reviews button. This is the link that you give out to have someone give you a Google review. You can share it on Facebook, you can do a WhatsApp, you can send it as an email. You can also take this link and embed it into a email in KV Core or MailChimp or whatever you use, but this is how you get your Google reviews. This is the link. So don't forget that.
Eric, is there any way to import reviews from like Testimonial Tree or Rate My Agent into your Google reviews, or is only the link is the way to get it?
No, unfortunately, you can't import into Google, and Testimonial Tree is kind of unique because you can hand enter and import into it. It also shows up on your realtor.com profile under a different section. And it also it puts the reviews on our agent websites, but you can't import them, unfortunately. But if you use something like Rate My Agent, Rate My Agent is kind of, it's elite, it's a review aggregator. So what it does is you go in and you import all of your reviews from your other platforms into Rate My Agent. And then Rate My Agent allows you to create landing pages for your reviews. It also displays your reviews on their platform, and then it allows you to share your reviews on social media. So that's what this is. This is a mixture of Zillow reviews, Testimonial Tree reviews, Realtor.com reviews. Yeah, so that's how you would do that. And in relation to Google profile, it'd be a good idea. This is not an example. Let's go to this one. Is you take these, what was I going to say? These tiles, kind of the review tiles. Let me show you an example. But so what you do is you get images of your reviews and you just add them to your social media. So like here.
Okay.
So even though they're not necessarily Google reviews, people on Google will still look at them, and you know, they're still relevant.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Google Q&A, this is something that is untapped. I predicted that Tom Ferry would be into this year, and he went a different direction. But what Q&A is, I call it Reddit for people that aren't strange, but you know, nothing against other Redditors. This is where you can take advantage of local SEO, and you can do it organically, but you can also do it strategically when you partner with either other agents or maybe members in your family. But the premise behind that is you come on here, and you ask a question. Now, maybe my question is, how do you guys feel about the real estate market? And that could be an interesting thread because, you know, much if you were to go onto Facebook and ponder that question on a public group, you may get a very, very lengthy conversation that could go in a million different directions. So this is like that, but not to that extent, because you don't have such a large audience. The way that they would come upon this would be, let's just say my question, well, let's just go with it. My question was, what do you think about what do you think how the real estate market is in Orange County right now? So what will happen is someone may Google that question and your page is going to pop up because you've asked that question. So one, you get put into a queue of maybe it's a hot topic that you are willing to get involved and have a discussion with, but you don't want to get involved in it on Facebook or Twitter because it'll be a huge time suck. On here, you can reach an audience. It just may take, 3 months before enough people look at that question and want to get involved. From a SEO standpoint, it's invaluable because now with your words, based on what text you're using. So for instance, if my responses are what I call SEO friendly, I'm repeating the area that I work in. I'm repeating my name. I'm repeating my brokerage. I'm repeating my tagline, whatever that is. I'm becoming my own local SEO by having conversations. So you could do this organically, or if you want to strategically partner up with, maybe it's your escrow officer, your neighbor, your gardener, your cousin, your hairdresser, and you either bribe them or get them to get involved, or you do it with them for their businesses. But if you start to have conversations, and even if you just set it and forget it, do it once, that is much like a hashtag where it puts you into the conversation of anybody having that discussion. Does that make sense? And that is what's called Google Q&A. Lastly, this ad update. So this is the new posting on Google My Business. The nice little interface that we had before is no longer with us, but if you remember ad update, this is your most common thing. Anything you post here is going to post at the bottom right-hand corner of your Google profile. And same process, you add a description. If you want to add a link, you're going to add a button. These are your choices, with exception of call now. If you don't have a button, I would always suggest put call now, because it never hurts to ask them to call you. And add a photo here. There, you're done. The other offer is exactly like an update, only it has a timestamp on it. So same premise, title, but then you're going to set a start date and an end date. So maybe you do a thing where if you list with me by January 31st, I will pay for your inspection, whatever you want to throw out there. What is the last one? And then event. So title, start date, end time, and their details. And Google is not a fan of open houses, so I wouldn't use the event for open houses. You can do that on Facebook, though. So what time do we have left? Okay, we have 20 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions about Google, where everything is? Anything that I did not cover that you're wondering? Sorry about that. Have you guys ever gotten that message that pops up and says, Zoom has crashed unexpectedly? Yeah, good times. Let's see. So I think the last thing I was talking about before I got cut off is I was just going over the fact that the events, I wouldn't use them from open houses. Google has an issue with that, but you won't on Facebook or Instagram. So does anyone have any questions about Google that I need to go over, even if it's not specifically related to Google My Business? That's good. So that means everybody knows what to do and we never have to have this class again. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. With that said, let's go over to the fun stuff. So ChatGPT is a AI chatbot. And kind of what I was saying, it's kind of like if Alexa and Siri went to Harvard and MIT and learned a lot. So you can access this too. This is not their site per se. This is one that was talking about it. So if you want to do this, you can do along with me. You can go to chat.openai.com. So let me log out and I'll show you how to get in. No, shouldn't have logged out. Well, tip number one on ChatGPT, if you're logged in, don't log out. Let's see if we can get in. Here we go. Okay, that's not the right. The thing with ChatGPT is you have to get the phrasing right. So how did I do this before? Oh, here we go. So what you have to do with this is you have to remember that this is not a person. So your phrasing has to be almost machine-like. So right here, I put emotion into it. So I said, write an incredible resume for me. So then it just gave me tips. But when I say create a resume for me, it says I can't recreate it, but give me some qualifications. I'll see what I can do. So I'm going to go to my LinkedIn and use that. And then I'm going to click on my profile here. And then I'm going to grab this link of my LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. This right here. And then I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to hit enter. And when you see it blinking like this, it's working. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the terminals like 35, 40 years ago. You used to have a blink, 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 blink. And what's neat about it is it'll keep them over here. So if you wanted to go back to it and maybe ask it again, or maybe have it write it a bio based on something else, while that's doing that, you could do oh, there he goes. So right now it could not connect up because the systems are overloaded. So it did its best. And what it does is it pulled some information, but it's still writing it. It's like the epitome of fake it till you make it. So this is more in depth of something like, you know, rewrite my bio on Zillow, or maybe you're racking your brain because you're trying to describe a very vanilla tract home as something special. So what you could do here is say, make this description better, and you paste in what you wrote, and then it will spit back maybe something different. So while it doesn't replace a copywriter by any means, it's, you know, a lot better than asking Siri to do something, because if it was, you know, Siri against this, you know, Siri is like an amoeba compared to the brain power of what runs this ChatGPT through OpenAI. So unfortunately, we got it when it's very busy. So it did not show the example of what I wanted to show you, but I'll go ahead and do that probably much later at night when it's not so busy, and I'll record it and show you what it did. And it worked a lot. It worked better than it did right now, but this is something that's in beta, so it's not a tried and true product. So it's not a reliable source of what it does, but it's pretty impressive. And if you were ever, you know, having a writer's block, this could be really helpful. So Greg had a good question. Do you create a different business page for all the listings? No, you wouldn't. And Google will get really angry if you did. So You don't create a business page based on the address of the listing. You would do it out of the office that you work out of, generally speaking. Now on the the products themselves, those are just links to the whatchamacallit, the listing, the listing website link from your First Team website. So like for like Karen here, she's got, here we go, Bogey Circle. And then this just links to her First Team website. Then one thing I didn't show you, but I've mentioned in the past, everyone has this market report part of their page, and this is again another great site that you can link to social media, including Google, under products on Facebook. It's first name last name.firstteam.com/market-report, and this is where they can get, you know, live reports. And I believe the default is you get 3 searches, and then it's going to ask them to log in. And at that point, they become a KV Core lead for you. So any questions about Google, KV Core stuff, or any of the ChatGPT? And again, I apologize. It worked flawlessly this morning when I tested it, but I did not think of it being really busy at 11 o'clock, but I was wrong. All right, you guys. Well, if there's no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and close up. There's no Tech Tuesday next week, but on the 31st, we're going to be doing KV Core Basics for lead generation. So we will be covering what I talked about, the landing pages, squeeze pages, but we're going to talk about creating them for specific areas. And then also there's a landing page that could be used for a multitude of things that we will go over that you can customize. You could link with YouTube and a lot more. So stay tuned for that. And then if you need anything throughout the week, see me in the office, or don't hesitate to reach out. Yes, Denise, we're gonna do the Zoom on the 31st. I'm not sure if the office will be ready by then, but I always Zoom and record it, whether I'll do it in person or not. Oh, you're welcome. All right, thanks everybody. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.